Good morning, everybody. Greetings and welcome to our JBDC in concert series. All right, so this is the one that we're doing, and as you come in, you know the drill already. You know the drill as you come in. Those of you who have been regulars here know that the very first thing that you do is hit up our poll, because we want to make sure that we know exactly who is in the room, so that when our panelists speak to you, they know exactly who they're speaking with and can tailor the conversation accordingly so that we can get the best out of the session. So welcome, greetings. I know you're coming in one by one. It's a good thing. I think there's a song that go like that. No, so Alaine, one by one. See that? Same one there. So all right, we're gonna start in a minute. So just in the meantime, just do the poll for us so that we can know exactly who is in the room. All right. So greetings, welcome. We're starting in a minute. We're gonna get going. Welcome again, and thank you so much for being with us this morning. We're gonna have an exciting session this morning. You know what I mean? As many of you might know, we have been doing this now for 5 weeks. This is our 6th week. And we have been focusing really every week on issues and solutions for the creative industry and about the creative industry. We spoke from everything from monetizing your creativity, your talent online, how it is that we do that. We spoke about the digital economy. We spoke about branding and how you develop your own personal brand and how the difference between that and your brand for your business itself, and how it is that you can make two of them live together and work together. We spoke about intellectual property rights and what you should know about intellectual property, and how important it is for the creative industry and the creative entrepreneur in general, and how important it is generally for you to be able to leverage that intellectual property into a business proposition, you know, and making sure that it's making money for you, and long after the particular craft or art exists. Last week we spoke about team and the importance of team for a creative industry entrepreneur, and we went into some really good discussion about that. That was kind of heartwarming, because persons were asking all kind of questions about really how it is that they form an effective team and the importance of team in the whole construct. And as we said last week, as a creative entrepreneur, the creative entrepreneurs that have been successful is a simple equation. They have had a good team about them, you know? So it's important. So for the month of May, we have decided to narrow the focus a little bit and keep it industry specific. So the very first one that we're having this morning is on the music industry. And we know we don't have to overstate, it can't be overstated rather, the impact that COVID has had on the music industry. Simply because many of us in the music industry, the main channel of revenue has to do with an audience in front of you, has to do with an outlet for persons to come to. And that has been just chop off at the knee one time. So it has meant for many musicians, many artists, a halting of the revenue stream, halting of the income. And the frightening part, or the worrying part, is that we're not even sure when venues and large events and things like that are going to be reopened. We heard talk about Europe not hosting any large activity until 2022, you know, so that's a serious thing for many touring artists, for instance, whose bread and butter has to do with being in front of large audiences. As a matter of fact, all over the world, nobody knows when the real restriction is going to be lifted on having gatherings of, say, 20, 25, even 50 people. you know? So it's a real issue. Certainly for the hotel industry, it is particularly disturbing because the hotel industries are all over the world are closed. We're not sure exactly when they're going to reopen. And many musicians actually earn their living, send their picnic or school, and so on, from the hotel industry and being a part of the tourism product, generally speaking. And there is, you know, anxieties and unfounded as well, anxieties around that, you know, and reasonably so. So this morning, we're gonna talk with some really experienced and persons who have been in this space for a while, persons who are doing stuff in this space, and are persons who are doing well in this space, and persons who have thought through some of these issues and have come to a place where they can bring some solutions. We're going to focus on solutions this morning and things that you can do. Yes, the crisis, I don't know if we have really understood the magnitude of what it means for us in the music industry. So we can touch on a little bit of that, but I want to spend most of our time talking about things that we can do in this period, and certainly things that we can do to strengthen our business model, to strengthen our craft, so that at the end of this crisis, we are even stronger and more resilient than we were at the beginning of the crisis. So welcome. We have a very, very exciting panel, I told you before, and those of you who have seen the names in the invite know that the panel turned up. So firstly, to kick it off, I'm going to jump straight into it. We have a brethren of mine who has been a friend for more years than I choose to admit, because you might think that my 30-odd looks are really deceiving you. But he is a music connoisseur. He has been in the business of music at very many ends of the music business, as a radio producer, as an artist producer, as an artist manager, and so on. He is also presently a lecturer at University of the West Indies, and he is the managing director of the Institute of Cultural Policy and Innovation. But mostly we know him as the outspoken, speaking his mind, but knowing what he says, and what he says is actually most of the time accurate. The outspoken, my very good friend, Mr. Dr. Dennis Howard, to kick off our conversation. Dennis, the floor is yours. You might want to unmute your mic, it works better that way.
Oh, all right. Oh yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me, and thanks for that introduction, Harold. I want to get right into it, timing myself for the 5 minutes, and I'd love to just look at the way forward, as Harold said. And this is a time in the music industry where I think it's a time for us to take stock and to do a few things that will put us in a better position whenever this crisis is over. Or I don't think the world will be the same for a long time, and so we'll have to adapt. And so for me, I have some tips as to what we should do during this pandemic and this crisis that we're having to keep ourselves sane in the music industry. The first thing I think we should do is to look at how we can improve our craft. And so we are songwriters, we are producers, we are singers, we are DJs, we are dub poets and musicians. It is important for us to spend some time while we are in quarantine or whatever we are doing to look at how we can improve our craft. Because sometimes when an artist gets into the industry and get a hit song and start to tour, sometimes you're not at the level that you want to, but you don't get an opportunity to spend a lot of time in terms of, apart from rehearsals, you don't get a lot of time to improve the craft. So I think it is very important for us to look at how we can improve the craft of whatever we do, whether we're a songwriter or a musician or even an engineer, you know. And with the technology now, there are ways for us to try and improve the craft. The next thing, which is very critical, Harold spoke about business model and artists as entrepreneurs, as creative entrepreneurs. And this is the way going forward. If you are in the art for art's sake, you're going to have some problems. So it is critical for us to be literate in terms of finances. So I think one of the things that we should do is to try and improve our financial literacy. Talk about how people use money, what you do in terms of investment, and how importantly, Mikey has always talked about this, Mikey Bennett, how you price yourself and how you value yourself. So that's one of the areas I think that we should go into. Now, in the era of, and thank God for digitization that we're having this discussion in this crisis. And it is amazing that while we have the tools available to us, a lot of people are not up to date in terms of their digital skills. And as artists, we need to be up to date in terms of digital skill. Everything is technology. You're talking about digital audio workstations. Everything that we do has to do with some kind of digitization, whether we're working on social media. And I find that a lot of people don't know how to utilize the technology that is there. You also need to have a sense of what is called digital marketing, because that's the next part of what I'm suggesting, that it's time for us to realize that marketing is a very important tool. And while in Jamaica and in our music industry, we have mastered a particular style of marketing, which is the outrageous, clashing, battle everybody and war with everybody and try to outdo one another in terms of outrageousness. That's kind of counterproductive because you're not broadening your fan base when you do it like that. And so I think that we should start thinking about improving our marketing skills. There are lots of courses, there are lots of organizations, including mine and the JBDC, that will give you the kind of skills in terms of marketing. And with the technology, we can do it online. And then there's another thing that I think that we should also be very introspective. Let me look at the time. Oh, I have a couple seconds. We have to be introspective, and you might want to be a DJ, but you're a better songwriter. You might be, you want to be a songwriter, but in the scheme of things, you're a better engineer. I think we should take stock at this point and basically look at what is our strong point in the music industry. You might not be an artist. You might be a booking agent. You might be good at managing or be a road manager. This is a time for us to look at our strengths and decide which part of the music industry suits you best. Thank you.
I'll need to take your advice and my own advice and unmute the mic, don't it? Yeah. In other words, it's time for us to be kind of reflective and really looking to our craft and looking to what aspects of the business we are really in and how we can strengthen that. One of the presenters last week when we were talking about team spoke about knowing your superpower, knowing what your particular superpower is. And it's the same argument you basically come in with. And understand that your superpower is your superpower. It's no man maybe alone can have all superpower for everything.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Man do have
sometimes because we love the music industry and we always, our music industry is artist-centered. If you're not the artist, you can't be anything. And unfortunately, that's how we market the industry. And so everybody wants to be the star. But you can be a star as an artist manager. You can be a star as a booking agent. You can be a star as an engineer.
And of course, the irony is that many times the artist is not the one that get the best paid. That's another story. But then, let me leave some of that for the conversation and move into our other esteemed panelists. Now, I was saying to you, so I know Dennis forever. I know Mikey forever plus. You know, Mikey has been a music producer for many, many years, artist manager, songwriter extraordinaire, musician himself, the owner of Grafton Studios. I can go on and on and on. A man who has really extensive experience, yeah, and skills in this industry and best placed to talk to us. So let me introduce you, my good friend, Mikey Bennett.
Hey. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I hear you good.
Yeah, I tried. My neighbor's dog decided to start me up on so I kind of walking up and down, trying to find a quiet space. Anyway, but I didn't know why Dennis alone just did the whole thing. Because Dennis, I was looking at my notes and Dennis said everything that I had written on my paper. Anyway, as a creative person, as a songwriter, I just have, like I said, with some tips for young artists. I understand from the thing we're talking to artists, we're talking to managers, we're talking to other people in the industry who at different economic levels. In other words, and like we mentioned yesterday, for some people, we're thinking about. I was talking to a good friend of mine, and said, "Boy, based on his budget, I'm okay till July." And I'm saying, "Wow." But we have some people in our industry who not okay right now. And you want to know, how can we help to manage this other part of the situation? And like we're saying, one of the things that we can say to people is that, listen, right now, be a human being. Be a really good human being. If you're a father, be a really good father and take care of all the things first. But remember, like Dennis said, at the end of this period of time, we have to think about it like we're training for the Olympics. So at the beginning, after one Olympic, going into the next one, which is 4 years ago, I'm sure you see and Bolt call him man, just him trainer and say, listen, here is a program. Or the trainer call him and say, here's a program for the next couple of years because this is what we want to do. And this, I just deal with this dog. So we have to kind of look at the situation on a long-term thing. And my advice, use this period, like Dennis said, to become the better person, be a better person. In other words, 3 years down the road, when you jump back out, your next song must be a best song. The other thing, in former years when I was doing some research about the music industry, about what to do, I would have called one of my older friends. Know what I do, I call one of my younger friends. And I was talking to one last night about some of the situations. And when we speak about this, digital reality that we're dealing with as a nation, is that as an industry, we find that there are no more things that people from my age group have even thought of. All of the streaming things. And when we look at some of the money, we say, boy, that money don't not really worth it. But it adds up. And if anything is possible. The other thing is, those of us who have done some work, look at the income streams that we currently had. Have we maximum of statements? Many of us don't look at Artiste because time you just get some money. But sometimes now it's time to look back at it and see if have we been treated fairly? Have all of the things, have the things added up? But more than anything else, this is survival. This has been a survival period. So we have to take on some survival skills. How we can manage in this time to make it. And like I said, nobody knows when. And we can always open up venues, but what about the people? Are people going to want to go? So we have all of these things. The only thing that we can really affect right now is our thing. But like I said, there are a set of young people out there, and I happen to know a few, and I'm happy to recommend some of them, who thinking outside the box that we never knew existed in terms of this digital age. 15 years ago, when the music industry switched to digital, and record companies realized they were losing $1 million. They were selling $1 million less worth of merchandise per day. There was a panic. And I remember reading this industry magazine, and I was comforted by these words. Creativity brought us to this point, and creativity can take us further. So this is just my preamble. Hopefully the questions from the, from the session, I'll be able to offer some more perspective. But for right now, Dennis take with the whole of me speech. So I want to return back to the thing now and, and free up and just await the question and answer session.
He said, Dennis are your neighbor, dog.
Yeah, man. Sure.
All right, thank you, Mikey. Thank you, Mikey. I mean, again, it's the same kind of message, but I have to kind of dial back to zero and see exactly which part for them. But another very sobering thing that Mikey said a while ago is that we're in it now, so we're in a survival mode now, so some very practical things that we need to be considering in the survival mode. We have to start considering that in a real kind of way. So, all right. So the next speaker that we have, again, needs no introduction. Known him as well for a long time and admired him for a long time in terms of his artistry level, his professionalism, the scope of what this man has done, the impact that this man has had on our music, both locally and globally. He is an extraordinary artist in himself, but he's also, as many of you might know, the musical director for Taurus Riley. And to share with us perspectives of where it's at, where it has been for him and his team, and some ideas that he believes are important for us to consider going forward, is my good friend, Mr. Dean Fraser. Dean, your time, brethren.
Yes, greetings each and everyone. Of course, we have been shocked by this situation that we are in right now. For me personally and my crew, we have, as I think Mikey and the doc was saying, we have just like hit a wall, head on. We just hit a wall, and everything has been canceled, nothing is happening, as we all know. But then, as an artist and as a creative person overall, we have to think outside of the box, and we have to just get serious, because one of the things I am sure about this situation is after COVID-19, there is gonna be a lot of good music. You understand me? Lots of good music, because, well, I hope, like myself, the rest of us out there take this opportunity to really sit down, make some serious songs, create something new, come up with something. You understand? Because this is the only way out, and we have to come up with good music. You understand me? And who never did develop them skill as an artist or as an act, we have time now to really go home, sit down, plan, and come up with something extraordinary, because this is the time to do all of that. You understand me? Because we don't have nothing else we can do right now. Right now here, I'm in the studios right now. We are recording, every day we just record, and it is just fantastic to see what we come up with. So, I really would like, and I'm hoping that all of our peers, everybody else out there, this is what we are doing, this is what we are thinking. We need to come up with some extraordinary music and make this thing, pass, and after this, we are ready. Bless you.
Yeah, man, yeah, man. Now, thank you, Dean. You know, when I was talking to Dean last week, one of the things that he mentioned to me that does drove it home is that, and he alluded to it just now. He was saying to me that take this time, as he said, to write even one song. Write even one song. a piece of music that you can own, that you can earn from, even not you directly, but royalties. In other words, take your time to invest in other streams of income rather than being just a person on stage to perform to somebody else. You know what I mean? It's very, very important. And the other thing that Dean had mentioned to me, I don't know why I'm not reminding when he mentioned.
Yeah.
was the importance of understanding that you need to practically budget the monies that you have right now.
Yep.
Because it real. So if you never used to have a shopping list or you go to a supermarket, make sure so you have
Now is the time to have one.
Now is the time. If you never used to have a budget when you go to market, now is the time for that. So we have to take some practical steps in terms of managing our resources while we develop our talent and so on. So blessings, Dean. We'll come back to you in a discussion. All right. So finally on our panel, we have to have the roles among well, we are not turn, big man are not turn. So the other plant material, right? Those rows among turn business. Not stick nobody, juke nobody. Anyhow, but this lady is one of the darlings of Jamaica. I have known Alaine for quite a while. She has done extensive work and has been really successful as a recording artist, as a performing artist all over the world. Recently, she has gone into radio, but Alaine is not only a musician and a singer and songwriter, as we know, she has many other creative talents. So I could go on, but I want to introduce to you now, Alaine, to talk to us. Alaine, your time, darling.
Hello, everybody. Lord have mercy. After all I want to talk, I have nothing more to say. All I want to say is amen. Thank you for saying exactly what I've been thinking. So I'm an artist, first of all, and everything canceled. Everything canceled. All of the plans that, all of the shows that were confirmed, there's no such thing as confirmation in this uncertain world. All right. What are the things that we can control? I think we have to start from that place. Accept the things we can't, first of all, right? And deal with the feelings and the emotions that we're all going through of what am I going to do next? So I've been speaking with my musician friends, and of course, here comes a big truck on the road to blow the horn, and the dog is barking outside.
On cue.
All about sound and vibes and the uncertainty of life, right? So we're talking about, all right, how is the rent going to be paid? How is the mortgage going to be paid? Because of course, you have musicians at different stages in their lives, financially, especially, and we have to talk about how we have to buy food, how we're going to the supermarket and all of that. And, Mikey, you were mentioning that the person you were speaking to said they'd be okay until July. The person I was speaking to said they'd be okay until May. It is May now. What are we going to do? I believe that there's a verse in the Bible, and I'm not preaching to you, but it says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? This is a time of transformation. It is very necessary for us to say, all right, what else can I do? What other streams of income can I establish? If I had not established them before, if music was the only way I used to earn, what else can I do? All right, so that is all about now repurposing your life, because all right, yes, music is our purpose, but it's not only one thing all that we can do. We have many talents, we have many capabilities, right? So all right, what is the thing that used to set you on fire as a child? Because we have to go back to living as children, you know. What made you happy? What is the thing that made you happy? Was it encouraging people? All right, maybe I could write a book about encouragement. Maybe I could start a podcast about encouragement. Why? Because podcasts will attract now money potentially if you build the audience. And all you need for a podcast is a phone. You know, and then you establish your content, you use your creativity that you would otherwise use in your music and direct it in this way. So you start multiple streams of income, which is what we're talking about. What else can I do? I was speaking to an upcoming artist yesterday on my show, Elise, and she was talking about the fact that she went to Megamart and she said, how much the sweet pepper them cost and how much the carrot them cost. So she said, no, may I buy the seed them and plant them. This is a young lady, right, who says, all right, what can I do now? How can I make this better? Jermaine Edwards mentioned something similar to this, where he said, him start planting yam and him banana and him something them in him yard because he won't be able to feed his family. And that's the truth. We have to start with taking care of the people that are around us. I love when Dean said, yes, we're going to use this time to create excellent music. We're going to come out of it. This too shall pass, but while we're here, we have to feed ourselves. And there are a lot of people that are in different stages of their development. So while we can say, all right, ask up where send me a check this time, you know, I have this money coming in. There are some people that used to live hand to mouth. So we have to just change where our hands are stretched and make sure we wear gloves when we stretch the hand them, you know, to feed with. But it's all about, you know, transformation, using our creativity to say, all right, how else can I earn? Like you were mentioning, like everyone mentioned, the digital platform offers us many opportunities to learn. So we can go online, learn a course, that type of thing. But it is looking at all of the ways that we can say, all right, music might be stopped now or it might be reduced, but there are other things. And as long as there's life and there's creativity, there are ways for us to channel our attention towards multiple streams of income and ways to get through this and keep our sanity and our bellies full as much as possible while we get through it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alaine. Thank you, Alaine. Thank you, Alaine. By the way, those of you who follow Alaine on Instagram will know that she has very, very many personalities and very many characters, which she might just share with us this morning. Who knows? I'm just saying. Right. All right. So we're going to go into our conversation part of our session. While you think about what you want to ask the panelists and what you want to suggest or what you want to talk about, I want to big up some of the folks that I see in the room. I want to big up my friend Karen Smith. Karen is not only my good friend and from way back when, and what you call it, Jamaica Songbird. But she's also the president of the Jamaica Federation of Musicians and Affiliates Union. So big up Karen. I see my brethren Hugh Dose in our room as well. I see Edna, Kerry and Nelia. Great, nice. Enough people, nice. So, all right, the protocol is that you raise your hand. There is a way to raise your hand. I think Sansia may have shared that information in the chat.
Yeah, what they can do is just click on the participants button at the middle of the screen and you'll get an option to raise your hand. So you just stick up your hand there. Or if you don't have a mic, you can also type your question in the group chat and we can acknowledge it from there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sansia. Sansia is our manager of proceedings this morning. So I don't know why she don't want to show her face, but the cute picture will work for now still. No complaints about that. All right. So anybody with any questions for the panelists or any comments? Until you think about it, really, I want to throw something back to the panelists.
Just before you go on, there are quite a bit of comments in the,
the
chat. You know, where the presenters are being commended for, you know, some of the information that they're passing out and stuff. But there's a particular comment from Hevar Telfa. I wanted to read it. As a publisher for various artists, I see where royalties collection is one of the biggest problems that face our Jamaican musicians. Distribution is relatively easy. However, what are your experts' advice to young professional musicians, managers, and publishers who are trying to collect their monies? I don't know who could take that question.
Okay, that sounds like Dennis or Mikey. Yeah.
Mikey first. Mike.
Oh,
You might need to unmute this something.
and I see nothing to do, you know.
Yeah, man, go on, Joe. Yeah, man, you're on.
No.
You hear me?
Yeah, man.
All right, so a lot of musicians don't like to do paperwork. And I'm sure last week, you know, when you mentioned the team, one of the things that most people need is somebody to insist that certain paperwork get done. There's a thing about royalty is not an automatic thing based on the amount of time that you've been with your song been out, or you've been. Royalty is based on the activities that this piece of work has created, and how many times, how many hundreds of thousands of times a song has been played, impact directly the royalty checks. If you're not getting a statement from the people who are supposed to, what it means is that probably there's a threshold. Usually, let's say you won't get a royalty if the royalty didn't amount to $100 US. So if your song or songs didn't earn $100 US, then nobody gonna waste the time to do it. And these are some real things that you have to understand. Then you also need to understand, like I said, you need to be able to communicate directly with this collecting agency from time to time, just to make sure that all of the necessary paperwork and things in place. And then they might say, boy, we haven't had anything from Jamaica, or we haven't had anything from things. Because a lot of times, young artists hear them song playing on 2 radio stations. Here, a friend called and said them song was playing, and I heard it in New York. That don't mean it was earning any royalties, because certain stations don't pay royalties, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a threshold below which you don't collect any money. So we have to just be very, but managers and people who work with artists have to make sure. I mean, I see people in studios all the time, and you see things going on, you see creative work, you see collaborations taking place, but no paper not being signed. That split sheet and that basically a thing that needs to say, I own a piece of this, I own a part of that. And it's sometimes very clumsy to introduce it, but it is crucial. You know what I mean? So you have to make sure that all the paperwork that you need to do, all of the documentation is in place.
All right, Mikey, good. Again, let us get rid of some of the myths that sometimes we perpetuate in this industry. We love to talk about publishing, and we love to talk about songs and how valuable songs are. But all songs are not equal. That's the truth. And as Mikey said, not every song will get any kind of traction that you'll get a lot of money from. In fact, the majority of songs that are produced and are even published, they don't earn any money. So the first thing you have to do is to have a business-like approach. You have to set up business, and a lot of us don't do it. Listen, Mikey, as a songwriter, will tell you, and Harold, one of the most tedious things to do is to do the administrative work for your songs. It is horrible. It is long and laborious, but it's something that has to be done. Again, also, we're in a business. So when you're in the studio and the creative juice is going on and the vibes is going on, either you or somebody, one of your representatives, deal with the business aspect of it in terms of the split sheets, in terms of the publishing information. And after you leave the studio, it don't end there. You have to go to your publisher and submit the song, that it is sent on to your PRO and your CMO if you're a producer. And so it is a business, and that is one of the big things. People love to say that, I am not giving anybody like a publisher my music, because in some instances I have to give him 50% of my earnings. But if you earn 100% of nothing, it's nothing. If you earn from something that has been utilized and exploited by a publisher, and you get 50% of that, that's 50% of something. And so we have to realize that at all aspects of this creative industry, it is business. And you, the person who is more organized and more formal in terms of their business approach, they will reap the benefits. And we need to stop thinking about just the art and the celebrity part of it. Nowadays, post-COVID-19, people can't look at themselves in the music industry as stars. They have to look at themselves as brands. And a brand that is a multi-platform brand with multiple income streams.
I respect Dennis. Alaine, Dean, any perspective from an artist perspective regarding the publishing and expectations, or any little tips or cues where that is concerned?
Well, it's basic. Where the doc just explained. We have to treat our music as a business, right? The music business. We have to treat it that way. But what a lot of us do is just we go sing and we go up on stage and we collect money and leave. We have to join the publishing houses and the collectors and all of that. We have to treat the thing as a business, right across the board. Simple.
Respect. Yeah, man. Anything to add, Alaine?
Just to echo what everyone is saying, you know, it's easy as creatives to get caught up in, boy, I love this, you know, I love the creative process, I love, you know, oh, yeah, this feel good, but no, what matters is the business, because that is what is going to feed you. So yes, get yourself in order, get your business in order. Yes, it is tedious, but it is worth it. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, cool. Sansia, any other comment that you want to share?
Yes, there is well, it's not really a question. It's a comment from Joy Brown, my friend from a long time. Nice, lovely lady. She is saying you can sign up as a member of Fiverr, and it's really going back to something that was said earlier about the digital platforms that are available. You can set up gigs in the music and audio category, and it can pay well. So it is something that persons can take a look at as an option as well. What I would do though is encourage persons that are in the room to just take a look at the comments in the chat, because there is a lot of useful information that is being shared there.
Yeah. And maybe we can put the link for Fiverr in the chat as well. It is Fiverr. Fiverr.
Yes, I'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and what if you don't know what Fiverr is an online platform that peddles talent. Really, that's what it does. Finds talent who needs the talent and finds a user, and is a platform that does an interface between the provider of the talent and the user of the talent. So whatever your talent is, and you'll be surprised what your various talents are within just your ability to, say, write a song or it means that you can write a jingle. It means that you can do a voiceover, perhaps. It means that you can do whatever. It's several options that we can explore as musicians, and that we can earn from that platform. Several Jamaicans are doing it and making some good money off of it, right? So it's something to be explored. I want to do something a little unconventional, based on our usual protocol for our meetings. And that's because I see my friend Karen Smith in the room. And I want to ask Karen to comment on the perspective of the musician and the artist that has been working in the hotel industry in particular, and certainly what are some of the things that comes to mind that she thinks that we could look at for a person like that. Because I mean, you know, we have a lot of persons. I mentioned it, you know, in my introduction, that lots of persons in the hotel industry are musicians in the hotel industry are in fact really concerned and worried. Any thoughts where that is concerned? Anything you want to add? I'm thinking on your Karen because I love you, that's all. Karen, go ahead. Karen, where are you going?
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm here. I'm trying to hold on. Yes. And so when the Holy Spirit said to me this morning, put some powder on your face because Harold Davis is in charge, I answered the call. Good morning, everybody. I'm going outside because this is the only quiet place in my community. My house, everybody have on TV and radio. So we in the entertainment industry, within tourism specifically, are in the same place as everybody. Everything is closed. I see that Sandal says that they are opening the first week in June. I said, wow, but everybody has to make a plan. I said, I'm encouraged to see this, although I don't work there, but some of our members do work there, so that's a good thing. But we all and innovations that everybody spoke about, Doc and Mikey and Alaine, all innovations about thinking outside of the box. We in this really depend on the much recording art for the most part. We have to go start thinking of the great tune. One tune and bang down Dean Fraser and Mikey Bennett door and said, this is the hit. This is the hit. I want some of them royalties and publishing thing that we're talking about, you know. For us, it has to be that we're thinking now about innovation, and also too for the way forward. For the most part, we have been dependent on the gentleman's agreement. So contracts and all that sort of thing to make it airtight. You know, you're sure of your money. It's supposed to be within 2 weeks or within a week or when you get off the stage, all these things. So that is going to need more organization on our part, and for everybody to join the union. Here I am. You think I'm going to get away? Join the union. Please contact me or Harold Davis and join the union, because of course we can also see now that organization is the thing, because when the government first started out talking about the packages for everybody, we were not mentioned. So it's when our executive had a meeting and we said, but we don't hear our name call, and then we spoke to Minister Grange, and everything happened from there with regard to us within the industry being identified to say, well, we are just like working either, you know. So we are also part of the hairdressers and the juta drivers and everybody who is not working. And then they crafted something for us, and also there is more from the Ministry of Entertainment, but not ready to be rolled out yet. So my advice is the same thing like what everybody's saying. Thinking outside of the box and thinking optimistic, and what are you going to do on the other side, the multiple streams of income, you know, because I always marvel at people who can do more than one thing and say, boy, it's just the one little singing talent we have, but it look like I have to go dig and dust off and get innovative, because that is the future. And also, how do we organize so that when something else so cramping and paralyzing like this comes about, how do we just rally? You know, how do we become more resilient? And that was really excellent advice, saying be the best human that you can be the best daddy that you can be, give help to those around you. All of that is also important as well.
All right.
Finish.
Thank you very much, Karen, and the powder on the face really work. I love it.
Yes, it's working. Thank you. The lipstick would have been too much. We never bother with that.
The truth is that you're absolutely fabulous, no matter what time of day we wake you up.
Oh, come on. Thank you.
I want to ask Alaine to come in on something. There is lots of persons in the music industry have begun to look at exploring other types of channels online, for instance, other types of streaming this, other types of blogging, vlogging, and things of that nature. But in one of our sessions before, persons were a little cautious about sharing content in this kind of way. what has been your experience, and what kind of advice would you give?
Well, it depends on what the caution is as a result of. Is it as a result of fear? Why am I? You know, we know that these are opportunities to express ourselves in different ways, and also to potentially develop multiple streams of income. Because if you do vlogs, or you create a YouTube channel, or you know, you start a podcast, and you attract your tribe to you, you attract the people that are going to support you, and the numbers start rolling in, well, that is also going to attract corporate sponsorship. That is going to put you in a different light. So if it's interesting that you asked me that question, because I was speaking with someone yesterday that I was encouraging to start writing, or start, you know, putting themselves out there more, and they said, but I'm afraid because what people are going to say about me, you know, they don't know me in this light. So maybe if I put myself forward, I might fall flat on my face and people will laugh at me. And, you know, to that I say, do it anyway, you know. Establish your content. What matters to you? I was speaking with Empress Golding recently, and she's an entrepreneur. She does so much. And one of the things she said was, she identifies a need, a void that needs to be filled, and she fills it. You know, and that is what we have to do. We just need to pay attention to what is going on around us, and then say, all right, how am I interpreting this? What would I want to add to this? How? Because we have to be of service. Whatever we do in this life, it must be from a place of service, where something we do is contributing positively to what, first of all, to how I am feeling, and then by extension to how everyone else is feeling. I think COVID has shown us very clearly that everything we do affects everyone else around us. So develop the content, man. Don't be fearful. Walk forward. All the information is online as to how to set up YouTube channels, as to how to set up podcasts, and learn from those who are doing it successfully, and just tweak it and make it yours. You know, put it out there, as long as it's something that's uplifting all of us.
Part of the fear, Alaine, thanks for that, but part of the fear, Alaine, had to do with exploitation of content, as in IP.
Okay.
Property exploitation. Any thoughts on that?
Well, if you're talking about, so you're talking about music, or just, well, then that goes back to the previous discussion, where you have to set up your business right, set up yourself, have your pitch sheet, have all of that established, so that whenever your music is played, you're played.
So Harold,
Yes,
you mentioned intellectual property, and there's a paradigm shift where intellectual property is concerned. We have to now decide what we want to earn from and what we want to give away, because there has to be some compromise. If you are going to go into marketing, and if you want to get a tribe, as Alaine just alluded to, you need to give away some of that. It is not the days where it's me alone and me, the creative person, and I must share all of this. It's not gonna happen. And anybody who gives away a lot of their stuff, they get it back 10, 15-fold. And we have to get to that point where, and it's not only music, because anything that comes from the mind and it's creative, it's intellectual property. We just have different laws to protect it. It might be patent, it might be trademark, it might be copyright, it might be related rights. So what you need to decide is how much of it you're going to give away to attract the people, to say, listen, I want more of this, and I'm willing to pay for it. That's the strategy going forward.
And what you're alluding to is that needs to be a business decision.
Absolutely.
It has to be entered into mindfully. So you have to think that, all right, okay, I'm developing this body of content. I'm going to use this to leverage for something else. Yeah, it's like a shop front type of thing. You know, this stuff you have on the shop front to attract persons to come into the shop to buy. So it has to be done in a thoughtful kind of way. So when we're thinking about delivering our business, you know, talking in these terms now, musicians are talking in these business and entrepreneurship. It's a business.
That material would be considered your loss leader.
There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Thank you very much, Mr. Doctor. Any other comments before if there are no other comments, right now I'm going to lay hands on somebody else. Sansa, any other comments that we need to recognize?
No, not at the moment.
All right, good. Someone can lay hands on another. What I'm doing is scrolling through the list of those who are in the room, and I realize that most persons I know very well, and so I'm at liberty to lay hands randomly. So nobody jump out of the room because I say so now. So I'm going to lay hands on my good friend Hugh Dowes, because this gentleman is very knowledgeable and very involved in the music from a different perspective, both educationally and otherwise. Hugh, I'm just ramblings that you can get your thoughts in your head together properly before I just lay hands on you, because completely, although I know say you're always ready, my friend. So Hugh, are there any thoughts that come to mind? Is there anything particular in the space that you operate in the music industry that you want to share with the group here this morning? Hugh? So you lay hands on people.
I think you have to unmute his mic, Mr. Davis.
All right.
Let me see if I can.
I did.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Well, you know, I don't know if it is the same anointing that was on Karen, but I never put on any powder, but I was trying to write down a few things. Because somehow when I saw you were in that mood, I said, you know, let's be prepared. Thank you for inviting me for talking, and thank you to your panelists. Very, very insightful. I've been taking a lot of notes. As you said, I work in, among other things, I work in choral music. I work in theater. I do musical direction and so on, but I work in choral music. I have a company named Nexus, and I work with other choirs like the UTech Choir and St. Catherine High Alumni and so on. And what has happened in this time, I don't know if you ever saw this thing that came out about what happens with choirs under COVID-19. There was a choir practice that happened in a church somewhere in the States. And all 60 members of that choir, although they observed social distancing in the rehearsal, they all came down with the disease, and 2 people died from it. Because what happens when you sing and you're in a social space singing, there are kinds of droplets that become now finer droplets from singers, and they use the term aerosol particles that come from that. And because of the push in terms of breathing that happens with singing, these droplets travel even further. So any idea of anything that even had people spaced socially to sing would not be a good idea health-wise, because of those limitations. So you would have seen many Zoom choirs coming up. There was a Jamaican choir that put on a Zoom concert on Sunday. Las Voces Melodiosas did a 1-hour Zoom concert where they recorded everything. Now, you know, recording in that way is not perfect, but because it is understood that we're under limitations, and they did a great job of it. You know, it's one of the ways that we have to operate. One of the spaces that we would be asked to sing at would be in celebrations like funeral, Thanksgiving services. And St. Catherine High's matriarch, Sister Mary Pascal, died during this period, and the school needed to mourn her, so they put virtual choirs together. But the other thing that worked for that tribute that we did everything was a virtual tribute, people sending their things and so songs and so, but what worked was that the groups that were asked to participate had done quality recordings before, and that has come to help us. That whenever you do your work, it's important that it be at a quality that can be shared, not only for your marketing, but who would have known that would have had a time like this? But quality performances, recordings, or getting your tapes of when you perform with a television station as Nexus did for that funeral, or when you do a show at Little Theater like Campion Dance Society did for that funeral, and the NDTC. You make sure that you have quality recordings that will be there to help you through this time, so that you don't worry about, Lord, how my sound going out in this, because it's not a studio that produce this. And the final thing really is that I found it as a great test for those who are really artists, those who are really musicians, those who really love choral music. I feel like I'm sick. I just need to stand up in a choir right now, just to get healing. And that's a part of how you really know if you are an artist, when you are separated from the elements of your art, or when you desperately try to find innovation to still make the art happen. That's one of the usefulness of this period. And I'm excited about, as has been said before, the wonderful music that is going to be coming out of this. I know I have some plans.
All right, thank you, my friend. And yes, you never need the powder. You're all right. Right, you're all right. As a matter of fact, I would get a little worried if you start putting on the powder.
Hey.
And enough said about it. So thanks. Thanks you. Panelists, I want to put another question or another moot to you for us to weigh in on. One of the things that Mikey and I were discussing last week when we were preparing for this session was, yes, it's a time for us to get back in the studio and get back into do some work and that type of thing. But I want to get your thoughts on how it is that artists can combine the need to produce and have something out and the timing that is important to have something out. Mikey's initial thought was that during this period of COVID, while we're in it right now, may not be the best time to put out new work in the public space, because it may get crowded with the amount of noise and so on that's in the space and other areas about the COVID crisis itself and just the health crisis that we are experiencing. Is there a right and a wrong time, Mr. Mikey Bennett, producer, firstly, to release stuff that we have produced and have worked on in this COVID period, or even before, or in general? Is there a right and a wrong time, and how should we time the management of our releasing of our productions, of our products and that type of thing? Is there a right and a wrong time, Mikey, to produce and to release in the public domain? What are the pros and the cons of that?
You hearing me?
Yeah, man, I'm hearing you.
Pretty much what you said, I might be totally wrong, because like I say, there was a time before this when I needed certain things, I'd call to one of my older brethren or one of my contemporaries about listening patterns. But I realized, I just from listening to the radio, that my ears and the ears of the masses quite different. But my thinking and certain things have not changed about marketing and certain things. The most important piece of news every day right now in Jamaica is the amount of people who got, the new addition to the thing. COVID is what is on everybody's mind right now. And so just like Christmas time, record companies say, listen, don't put out nothing new in Christmas time because, there's all of the Christmas carols you have to compete with and all of the advertisements and things. And so I am thinking, but I've had at least 10, people send me at least 10 COVID songs. And my thing to them is, yeah, I wish it never mentioned COVID. I wish it didn't mention it because it could be just locked in, it could be, find a great song. But as songwriters, what I'm saying, we're experiencing a lot of things now that we have never experienced before. And there's a lot of fodder, there's a lot of things, inspiration that coming through. How you miss your grandchildren, how you miss that, how a walk feel like a brand new thing. And we are going to be expected as musicians to remember all these things. One of the things that we do as songwriters is try and go into details and recall. So 20 years down the road, people going to want to know, how you guys coped with this situation. What happened? What happened? So my personal thing is, I find now that the songs of my youth and thing, the songs that made me want to become a musician are so important to me now. So that's what I find myself being attracted to. Other people might be quite different. But so that is a personal thing. But my advice to anybody, I mean, if somebody asks me, I say, boy, I don't know if it's the right time now to put out this thing here. I mean, because anything can happen. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think Jamaica has seen the worst of this quoting in terms of the deaths and all kinds of that. So you don't want to put out a particular song that kind of deal with the thing in an insensitive way. Yet at the same time, you don't want to keep reminding people about the thing. Or what I'm saying, have a song that is just considered. I mean, very few of us have the thing like Loving There to write a song about thing that is just so iconic, like a hurricane situation. But that song will forever be a hurricane song, and it's kind of limited in its own thing. My thing is, whatever you're feeling lonely, people feeling love, people feeling all kind of desperate. These are all inspirations, are things from which we can get an inspiration. But like I said, right now is time for collaboration. And like Dennis was saying earlier, now it's time to find people that have these public relation skills. And so listen, what would you do? What would be your advice right now? And then the thing is about, like I say, hanging on to whatever money you have right now, because you're putting out, you're doing stuff now, and everything costs. Recordings costs, marketing costs. Just the whole thing with everything costs. And right now, I think is a time where we shouldn't be spending a lot of money. Now it's time, whatever money you have, you start to pinch it about the basic food basket that we need for the deal right now. So my advice is based on a number of things. I mean, when we think about our industry, sometimes when we're having these conversations, and because of where we reach and who we know, we forget about the vast majority of the Jamaican musicians, or both people who in the industry active or those who want to be, who really way below the acceptable income level. In other words, they're just one dub plate away from can't pay the rent. And that's the reality. And what are we, what I'm trying to figure, what can we say to them? What can we prepare them for? The world that we're going to prepare them for. Because one of the things another discussion that we had was what's going to happen after this, when we get out of this. And all the people who have not worked for a while, all of the superstars who was getting the top dollars at the time, or who could negotiate the $1 million performance fees, realize that those fees are no longer applicable. I mean, we're talking about a third of those fees if we're lucky. So those people now are at the front of the line. So, I mean, the people in the second tier and the third tier and the thing who right now working for the figures that nobody wants. You can find that the competition that can come from them peers, can come from the very top artists who wouldn't take less than $1 million before, who can take the $100,000 because that is the nature of the game. And the concerts that used to be able to pay some kind of money because of all of the rules and the apprehensiveness of clients to go back out. So first, when we go back into this new situation, which is what all of us speak about, what can we expect coming out of this situation? What will the new reality look like, in terms of post-COVID-19? When we get back here, even although we have the bad song, what kind of negotiating platform we can have? What kind of power? In other words, when think they want to put on some fest next, what kind of budget I'm going to offer as a team? Because what kind of crowd can you reasonably expect to have? You know what I mean? So a lot of us can lose. I mean, let us not be, we can sugarcoat the thing. A lot of us can be broke out of this business. Yeah. A lot of promoters can just hang it up. A lot of people who invested in some of the best pay systems I've ever heard might not be able to deal with it, because it's a reality thing that we're dealing with. So I mean, as grim as it sounds, I'd like us to look at it and be able at the same time to offer some hope.
Yeah. You took away my next point, because I wanted to talk about that as well, because the truth is that the industry and the realities and the opportunities will not be the same as they were. They won't be the same. Some opportunities will be actually better, but many of them will not be the same, as they'll be actually worse. I mean, Karen and those persons who are familiar with the hotel industry will tell you what happened pre 9/11 and post 9/11. And one of the things that happened post 9/11 is that if the entertainer was getting $10, post 9/11 they were offered $5 and $4. And because of the reality, the $10 person accepted the $5 and the $4 because you're not working for a while and you just want to get back into the thing. And many times at the time, the promise was that, don't worry, bear with us with that $4 for now, and when things get normalized, it get back up to the 10. And it has not gotten back up to the 10. I'm fearing that in a real way that similar things will happen in globally with the industry as the industry reopens. So one of the things, and I wanted Dean to jump in on the timing of the releasing of the song before I even go into this point, but let me make it since you have gone there, Mikey. So one of the things that we need to speak about in a real sense is that appreciating that, knowing that this is going to happen, or the chances are that this is going to happen, now is the time to go back to Dennis's original point, which is diversifying your income streams. Looking at new products, looking at different products that are not as vulnerable as these kind of products are, you know, for these kind of price cuts and that type of thing. So that's a very important thing that I would love for the panelists to weigh in on. But before you weigh in on that, Dean, you have any thoughts about the timing in terms of timing of releases? I mean, is now a good time to release stuff that you have created in this period? How you see that? What are your thoughts on that, Dean?
It might not be the right time, because of course, because of what's happening. But we should look early 2021 to get some of this stuff or most of this stuff out, you know, and I guess that would be time enough for the industry itself to start to pick up and you know, start to, you know, get back on its feet. So I would think we should really just sit down and make good music and just make music. And then we have a whole year after that to say, well, all right, let's put this out. Let's get this out, you know? And one of the important things you spoke of, I think we should get the artists to do combinations, or them call it, you know, the duets, you know, come together, make songs and all of that. Because this is where our head is right now. This is what we are doing. You understand? This is family time, really. You know, when you take a stop, it's really family time, this now. Because everybody can do it by themselves. Some man don't have the facility to do it, or the money. But if we come together, we can make it and we can get it done, you know. And then come next year, everybody, as you would say, everybody can eat a little food, you understand me, and start to grow again.
Yeah, man. Right. Dennis, Alaine, any thoughts about what the industry will look like after coming out of this crisis?
I just want to address the issue of release of stuff right now. I don't think it's a good time. I agree with Mikey and Dean, because globally, during this crisis, music streaming is flat. It's actually down. And people are more streaming television stuff. And obviously, the good old book has resurfaced. People are now sitting home and coming off the computer and settling down with a good old hardcover or with the other type of books. And so it wouldn't make sense for us to be doing any kind of releases right now, because there's not going to be a market for it. Now, I see the music industry totally changed, like almost every industry going forward. It is kind of coincidental that at this point, Apple, after telling us that we were not worthy of access to Apple Music and iTunes, just recently, 2 weeks ago, they allowed other regions to enjoy Apple, including Jamaica. It is not by accident. That's a business decision. But and one of the reasons why they did that is because streaming numbers are going down, and the competition, and not only that, there's local competition in the space now with Digicel, with D-Music. And so Apple, weighing it now, decided that, oh, these are some regions that we'll have to make some money in. So it is not even about giving us access. It is about, again, a straight financial decision, which at one point, they thought that our numbers were so small and insignificant that then they didn't even bother to look our way. So the music industry is going to be changing. If you are not a multi-platform brand, you are going to be in problems. If you are not good at writing songs that are universal, songs that are lasting, songs that are not parochial, and can't go further than the diaspora regions of North America and the UK, you are going to be in big problems. It is a time that you have to be a business person, you have to be a marketer, you have to have many jobs. Listen, all of us here, if you look at our career, we have so many careers. I looked at somebody said on a Instagram post that he's a true Jamaican because he have 20 jobs, and he listed the jobs that he had. And I looked at my list, and just to give you, I'm a lecturer, I'm an author, I'm a trainer, I'm a business coach, a researcher, marketer, radio and TV presenter, music DJ, media executive, and I could go on and on and on. And so if you are not sculpting the way that you are competent in a lot of different areas, and have the ability to identify the areas that you have value and to monetize them, you are not going anywhere. We've been preaching to the music industry that you have to be a multi-platform brand, not even artist, a brand. You see the successes of the persons here in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, and in the North American music scene. They are not one-dimensional. You can't survive on songwriting alone. You can't survive on performance alone. Even actors have to do other stuff. Rappers are now TV presenters, they are reality show hosts, they are radio hosts, and that's the same approach. So we see Alaine doing the same thing. Exactly. Alaine is a TV presenter, she's a critic, she's a radio announcer, she's dancer, all kind of different things. And we have a competitive advantage, you know. Believe me, when I say this, based on my experience of traveling all over the world and interfacing with a lot of creatives, and all of you here can attest to this. But I think we say it, but sometimes we don't really understand the value of it. Jamaicans are a uniquely set of creative persons. We are unique because everybody, from the little countryman to the little youth in the ghetto, if you look at that person, so much creativity is oozing out of that person. It's amazing, it's phenomenal. What we need to do is to take it serious, and identify the strengths that we have as individuals. All of us don't have the same strength. And the strengths that we have as individuals, and we utilize that creative energy and create value going forward. So the music industry is going to be a totally different scenario going forward.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dennis. Alaine, any thoughts on that we have just been talking about? The music industry and how it will look post-COVID, and how do you survive that, and how do you strive in that? Alaine?
Well, I'd just like to say everything Dennis just said, and then I can mute my mic. Because no, it's really so it go. Like we have to, okay, the whole world is changing. The world is constantly changing, but even more so now because we are on pause. But this pause button now that we have been forced to press is something that we're gonna have, is the time now that we have to use now to consider this question and say, okay, how is it going to look? All right, are there going to be more online performances? Of course, we see a lot of performances being hosted by some of these corporate companies. We see Digicel putting them on, Sagicor, all of these other people, and they're having good viewers, like 38,000 people coming online to view the concerts, and 40,000 people, that kind of thing. These are the numbers that these free concerts are attracting. So we have to look at monetizing these concerts. Is it going to be like a pay-per-view situation that's going to be facilitated by these digital platforms? Maybe that is the way forward. You know, maybe until this COVID thing is under control, then that is something we need to look into, figuring out how we're going to market these things to people. And we earn from it, you know, as musicians, as creatives. I think things are going to expand naturally. I think that yes, enough of we are go broke. That is the truth of the matter. How do we kind of lessen the impact of the brokenness? What Dennis said. Own your Jamaicanness, own the multiplicity of talents that you have, and look at ways to increase your streams of income.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Alaine epitomizes that, as Dennis just said a while ago. It's very important, I believe. If you leave here with no other lesson, we have to leave here with a lesson that says that here is what. Look in ourselves, as we like to say in Jamaica, look in ourselves, understand our talent, understand our strengths, understand our Jamaicanness, and the facts that we say, turn your hand, make fashion, and we say that. So we say multiplicity of talents naturally. And as creatives, we already are thinking with that side of the brain that says that we have 40 different talents. To be able as musicians to go on stage, to perform and to deliver, you are exercising at least 5 different talents apart from your ability to play the instrument. Yeah? Performing, that is acting, dancing.
Connecting with people, there's a connection.
Communication, Alaine, that's correct. So think, looking at yourself and leave here. And the last thing that I want to leave with before I ask Dean to do a thing, I don't know if I'm still up to it. But the last thing I want to leave you with is this whole thing about working on your brand in this period. We need to begin to consider what our brand is, yeah? What our personal brand is. Dennis said it about 40 different times. It's about understanding what your personal brand is and about working on it and defining it. We had a whole session 2 weeks ago talking about branding, but I think it's important for us to say it again and again, because especially, and here I'm not even talking to the person who is actually up front holding the mic in front. I'm not talking to that person, because by definition of being the upfront person, you kind of have to create a brand about what it is that you're doing. I am talking now to the keyboard player who that has been working with a particular artist for many years, and your brand is defined by the artist. No, I want you to think about defining a personal brand about you. Yeah, that's very important, and understand that you are more than you are. Yes, you are the keyboard player or the guitarist for this particular artist. That's fine, that's good, and that's great, and don't at all hang up that. That's very important. But what else? In this time that you have been working, for instance, on the North Coast for 20 years as a guitarist in a band, and the hotel industry stopped. Nobody knows who you are and what your brand value is outside of that. So you need to work on that and make sure that that coming out of this, there is a brand that says, I am Harold Davis, the guitar player, or I am Harold Davis, the whatever, but a clear definition of what your brand is, yeah, and that's very, very important, and that's very, very important. Without that, then we are at a loss when we start talking about leveraging that for monetizing, So it's very, very important, yeah. All right, so we don't do boring, right? Before I go on to that, Sansia, are there any other comments in the room?
Yes, a comment from Abishai. Overall music streams are down, but funny enough, reggae has seen an uptick. Biggest example came out of the Billboard magazine story that came out showing Marley catalog had 23% increase in streaming since COVID-19 went widespread. Dennis?
Yeah, but listen, exactly what I'm saying. The fact of the matter is, the last part of what I said was that we have to make good music that will survive and last. Dean said it also, saying this is the opportunity for us to make good music. Is a press the button, we call it a reset. Because honestly, guys, the music that I've been hearing for the last 5 years is total rubbish and crap. Yeah, you have the cream of the crop out there that we can think about. We have the Taurus Ryle, and it's not because Dean is here. We have the people like Coffee and a few more, but it's utter crap. Most of it just don't make any sense. Bob Marley is still running the place. Toots is still running the place. And we have that opportunity to be running the place 20 and 30 years down the line if we buckle down and get back to good music. It's about collaboration. Guys, everybody talking about the things that we need to do. Karen Smith talked about it, collaborating. We make music different from everybody else, despite the technology. If we're not collaborating, if we're not talking, if we're not interacting, the music now go sweet. Well, don't make the technology make us into slaves of the technology and not make us make good art. So we have to go back to basics where there was a vibe. It was a joy to be in a studio with a Dean Fraser or a Mikey Bennett where we're making a song. And the other person who come in who give you vibes. I remember like Sly Dunbar will be there trying to put a beat together. And just the fact that a certain person come in who's an artist or just a music industry person just come in and start crack some joke and make some noise and everybody having a great vibe. And before you know it, in 30 seconds, Sly come up with one of the biggest, wickedest songs in the beats in the world. The same thing with Dean Fraser. When Dean Fraser come into the studio, the session might have been dead. By the time him come in and start blow, everybody get creative. And that's what we're missing in the music. It's too technical and it too, it have no feeling. And we're gone to this foolishness of fighting against each other because that is the only marketing ploy that we know. And we want to be outrageous. And then there are other ways of connecting. We don't have, almost the only one artist have super fans in Jamaica. You understand? Because we don't understand to use the technology to our benefit. And as we said, going forward, if you're not delivering good music like Bob Marley, and listen, the Reggae Billboard chart is still listed by Bob Marley, Shaggy, Sean Paul, and what them call modern reggae. Pure white man from North America. And we're not knocking them. The point is, we have to make enough good music that we dominate any chart in the world when it comes to reggae.
Amen. Amen. Any comments on that, Dean and Mikey?
Yeah, Dennis, that is so true, you know, and that's why I started out by saying this is an opportunity to create good music, to just make good music, and we all should just take this opportunity and do it. You understand me? Because in the long run, this is something, make we stockpile it here. Saying it can't spoil, just stockpile it. See? And it is just as simple as that, you know?
Them stockpiling oil so we can stockpile our music.
Of course we can. Of course we can.
And final comment, Mikey, before.
Love the thing about what Dean and Dennis mentioned, collaboration, and you keep mentioning branding.
Yes.
My thing, one of the big mistakes of our music industry is that the other time everybody was trying to get out the middleman. We start seeing when everybody start to distribute their own music, start to have their own label, and the economies of scale wasn't benefiting nobody. So the collaboration that I mean, I love to see some more collaboration between across the generations. In other words, of my generation and the one below me are, you know, the younger one. But what the conversation that we had before that, but Dennis was saying, there are collaborations that need to take place between artist houses and the other technical skills of young people who know this, who eat, sleep, and take this digital platform. When I'm in a conversation and I hear digital platform, it's like I just feel all of a sudden. I just, okay, that is the newest thing. But I think the collaborations of the future have to include that young person who sees design in everything, that young person who thinks of branding. In other words, and let us not forget, because me and Dean live in a studio, and we see the youngsters who coming in want with the song and want to think. And we are aware of them educational standard. Because our schools not preparing, our education system too many times not preparing the young creative who wants to make an industry thing. In other words, we're not helping him to become this person. So I think the collaboration that is going to make the difference in the future are the ones, not only musical, but the ones that we call draw on the creative talent juices of these young designers, these young people, image people, these videographers, these people who live online and who can package people. In other words, like I said, to become a brand, you have to become a product. So it wants product development, product management, ideas. I mean, I've sat in an ideation session for like a Grayscale, they're putting out a new product. And people, you hear young people putting out some ideas that you wonder where them come from. And you realize that, listen, a lot of us, I mean, and probably beside Alaine on this panel, a lot of us, most of us at a particular age when we still almost, we're comfortable in the analog world. Some of us move into the digital world from necessity. But when you have grandchildren and you hand them a phone and you see how quick them maneuver around it, you realize that there's a new wiring of the brain that don't apply to our generation. So we really want to see a collaboration right across the board. I had the opportunity to be a part of a musical, and I never knew that I'd enjoy something as much. It was the first I was writing songs and seeing it become the narrative for a play. And it was the most exciting thing that has happened to me in the past 5 years. So collaboration between the music industry and the theater thing, and just whole heap of collaboration. That is why I think the future is for Jamaican music. Again, stretch us. In other words, the branding that we speak about, sometimes the branding, we use that as a buzzword now, but what does branding mean to the young person walking in and just have the history? Yes, we saw how some people have used branding, and you wonder, I mean, a lot of it sometimes we consider it negative, but it's creativity, and we have to just set some standards. And then it's as a media person, there's a time when media, a lot of us here could be guided by media in terms of what music was, what kind of music media would support, So all of these collaborations need to come back. I mean, and like Dean said, now is a time to reset. We have time and we have now. I mean, personally, I've been playing my guitar at least 3 hours a day, and it filled me with a lot of joy. And I'd like to encourage everybody who have a guitar, or, you have a year and a half to get better. I mean, and for young musicians who can sing, if you can play an instrument and back up yourself, you stand a better chance of earning a $50,000 in the near future than if you require a band. So a number of little things that, I mean, I'm thinking about, because when I'm talking to these things, I'm looking at in the faces of my students at UTech, the young people in the yard at the studio, and realize that sometimes, you know, we kind of talking over them head. I mean, fine, people get the thing, but sometimes I think we have to just take the conversation straight to all of these people. You know what I mean? So thanks for having me on the program, and you know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Respect, Mikey. Thanks. I think the underbelly of the message is that the way in which the industry will change will provide significant opportunities for those of us who are ready and are prepared for it. It is a time for us to... Sansa, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to, I know you're going to wrap up now and bring in Dean, but I wanted to introduce something to the conversation that I saw pop up in the chat from Vernon Derby. If you know Vernon Derby, he's on Nationwide, right? He spoke about the fact that we have not really mentioned the media, because he's saying that the media encourages the production of rubbish. And we need to really address the role of the media, because the media has a major role to play in what is promoted, really, not necessarily produced, but what is promoted. So, I mean, that could take us in a completely different direction.
They're going to start up Dennis now.
Yeah, we're going to start up something.
Next session.
Brendan, you're going to start up Dennis now. Because you know, so another hour that right away for Dennis. Vernon, welcome. Dennis, 2 sentences to respond to Vernon. And then
all right. I'm not defending media here because I'm on both sides. Work in the music industry, produce, manage everything, the shows, and then as a media executive, as a radio announcer. Now, first thing, we need to stop finding fault from in one place alone. It is either you or me. And that's how it go. Between black and white, there are 1,000 shades of pale. All right? So what we need to do is, if bad music never make, the media couldn't promote it. So if the source was good from day one, what the media would have promoted? You get what I'm saying? So this argument of saying the media is the problem, what about the producers? What about the artists? What about the creatives who are making this so-called terrible music? And I am certain that a lot of great songs have gotten their fair share and absolutely ton loads of exposure from this very same media. So I think the argument should be a nuanced, collaborative approach and not pointing fingers. And in the days Mikey talked about, when media was the litmus test for good music, we need to get back there. So I will knock the media for giving up that gatekeeping function of saying we are not going to expose music of a particular quality. Now, as a former media executive, while I was in my position, that was what we did. There was a standard of what could go on air. And I dare say that in the last couple of years, because of that, we see some improvement in the quality of the music that is being played. So it just boiled down to leadership and also collaboration and consensus.
And the mood for another discussion completely. Right, so to wrap up, I want to thank the panelists. We're not quite done yet. I think the message, as I began to say, is that coming out of this, the world is going to be different, obviously, yeah? And those of us who will realize the opportunities from the difference in which the world, some persons have it to say that COVID has just fast forwarded something for most of the world that had to go. You had to head in that direction eventually, but it kind of fast forward you, in that kind of way. So really what we're talking about is looking for opportunities for multi-genre, multi-channel production of our music. We need to be thinking multi-channel in terms of, we think to thinking multiple income stream. We need to be thinking multi-genre as well. We need to be thinking multiple industry as well when we're presenting something, you know. It's very important that when we think as a musician, we begin to think about the fashion that goes with the music. We begin to think about the dance that is influenced by that music. We begin to present a complete multi-industry, multi-channel, multi-genre production out to the world. That's where the world has gone. And then now we look at how it is that we can get it to our publics using multiple channels of distribution of the product itself, and then we will reach the multiple revenue streams coming back. So I'm excited. Yes, all right. So we're then at the COVID thing, and it's not nice. It's not nice for nobody. It's not nice for nobody. So let's use this time though let's not waste a good crisis, as people keep on saying. Let's use this time to prepare ourselves to move to another level. So we have another level of product, another level of business, another level of you coming out on the other side of this. Very, very insightful discussion. Thank you so much, Alaine, Mikey, Dennis. And like I said earlier, we don't want the boring. So any of you who have participated in these events know that at this point in the session, we have what we call JBDC in concert live. And this week we could have show kind of, you know, when you have grab bag and, you know, dip in and grab and just pull out a name and you would have good. But this week we are so blessed to have on the panel and agreed with us to bless us at this time. My good friend, brethren, for many, many years, saxophonist extraordinaire, Mr. Dean Fraser, to bless us now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a couple seconds worth of music, you're seeing?
You know, onto the internet. Oh my God, you done already, brother?
Done already. We have a recording, so I'm not gonna just go deal with it right now. But just remember, people, go back to basics and just make good tune. Stockpile it. It's like oil. See? Can't spoil.
I love it. So, Mikey, that sounds like the title of a new song till now. Stockpile it, can't spoil. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. David, we have an exit poll that you wanna share, wanna launch at this point. Just remember that we're here every week. Next week, I think we're going to be talking about the fashion industry. The week after that, I think Kerry and you know, we're going to lay hands on you because we're going to be talking about the performing arts and dance and theater. and so on. But watch your space, because this is going to be, this has been your channel for uplifting information from the JBDC team. Again, thank you to the panelists. Thank you, Mikey Bennett. Thank you, Dennis Howard, Dean Fraser, and Alaine. It's really good to have such fantastic talent sharing with us as a group this morning. So before we go, I want to remind you that we're still in the COVID time. So be safe, look out for your family, take care of yourself and your family and your community around you. And part of doing that is to turn on your yard. When you do definitely have to go out, and if you're going out, you wear your mask because you're protecting your community and your family, not only yourself. It's that time for family now. It's that time for community now. It's that time for us to come back together and come back to the core of what us as Jamaicans are. One love, you know, one love. So thank you so much. Be safe and have yourself a good afternoon. Well, morning into afternoon. Thanks. Bye.